Hey there, it's John from Living the Music. Today is all about singing the praises of this fantastic debut album, 1995's Trace, from the band Sunvolt. This is the 30th anniversary Record Store Day release with bonus material, colored vinyl. I absolutely love it. Why is this album so great? What makes it a classic? Could it even be a 10 out of 10? I would argue yes. We'll get into that in a little bit. Just to put this in context, the main driver of the band Sunvolt was and still is this guy called Jay Farrar. Jay comes from the band Uncle Tupelo, along with this fella who you may know of. He's much more famous, Jeff Tweedy. Jeff went on to form Wilco, but they were together as songwriting partners and performers in Uncle Tupelo. None of the Uncle Tupelo albums made the Billboard 200, although, I'm sure bubbling under that they sold quite a bit of copies, but they were not a big radio friendly band. They were definitely an underground band, although by their fourth album they did get signed to a major label, Warner Brothers, so things were looking up. But as it turns out, the guys, Jeff and Jay, I got their respective books here. They weren't really getting along there at the end of Uncle Tupelo. This is Jay's book from 2013, by the way, and this is Jeff's memoir from 2018. Both good reads in their own way, quite different. Jay's is much more episodic and on the slight side. Jeff is more verbose and narrative and kind of telling all these funny stories and also depressing stories, but they're, as I say, they're both interesting in their own ways. But it's not surprising they would write two totally different type of personal books, because they were two totally different guys, and that eventually blew up their partnership. As the story goes, Jay told Jeff he didn't want to work with him anymore, and so they went their separate ways. If you want more details, you can read Jeff's book. Jay has one page or page and a half talking about the Uncle Tupelo time with Jeff. So you can get that here. But that's not really the point of this episode right now. So Jeff got it together pretty quickly, and in 1995 he comes out with this album, the debut from Wilco, AM. So he had drafted in the remaining drummer from Uncle Tupelo, the one that did the fourth album with them, and their bassist. And this album is quite reminiscent of the stuff Jeff was doing in Uncle Tupelo previous to this. I think it's a really cool album. He would go on to be a lot more experimental, you could say, really diversifying his sound. He gets together with this guy, Jay Bennett, who also loves to experiment. So these two kind of mad professors get together and they do, classic albums, in the next few years with Wilco. But this is more of a straightforward release, but it's strong. Most people thought the Sunvolt album was a step up from the Wilco album. This comes out a few months later, and I think it was pretty much universally heralded as an excellent piece of work. And in terms of the competition between Jeff and Jay, Jay started off with a home run. Now, could he follow up on it? Well, not necessarily, although the next couple Sunvolt albums are very good, really still very good. It's just that this one is so excellent, it's hard to repeat it, and he wasn't able to, but he's still out there. He's been putting out albums all through these years, many of them very high quality. I enjoyed them quite a bit. He still plays live. So bless him, music's in his blood, and he's a lifer, no doubt. Now, This initial album, Trace, from later, I believe September of 1995, is 11 songs, comes in around 41 minutes. It's a combination of slower tempo, ballady type songs, and then up-tempo rockers. So it's a great blend of the two. They work seamlessly together. The sequencing of this album is perfect. There's one cover on it by Ronnie Wood, Mystify Me, that ends the album. Jay does a great interpretation of that. Now, Jay brings back the original drummer from Uncle Tupelo, Mike Hydorn, and then he brings in two other guys, two brothers. I don't want to butcher their name, but they're wonderful players, and they appear on the first three Sunvolt albums, which are really probably their absolute classics. But again, none topped Trace, and I don't know of many albums that do top Trace, because it's an absolute classic in the genre of alt country, but really it's just a classic rock album that really everybody should hear. And I think if they do, they'll appreciate it. Now, Jay's voice is, I think, a very strong voice. I would say overall it's got more power to it than Jeff's does. Jeff certainly has a lot of character to his voice, and not to mention he's great lyricist. But Jay has a certain sort of almost southern drawl kind of feel to it. Not quite, but it definitely sounds like those old-time country singers from back in the day, Hank Williams type, along those lines. He brings a lot of conviction and authenticity. His lyric writing is excellent. His melodies are great. He's in top form on this album. You got absolute classics like Live Free, Route, Drown. I love Drown. Loose String, Catching On and on and on. Windfall is the opener of this. Just what a welcoming, inviting way to open an album, where you're just sucked right into it, going, give me more. And he does. On and on and on. Tear-Stained Eye, wonderful. 10-Second News, excellent. Out of the Picture, classic. Too Early, powerful. So yeah, I'm really singing the praises hard here, because every song is good. The instrumentation is tasteful. The arrangements are perfect for what the song needs. There's no sort of, overblown, soloing or anything like that. It's just pure Jay Farrar music. And he was already on a roll from Uncle Tupelo, but he even took it up a step here. Yeah, as much as you may have loved his writing in Uncle Tupelo, he steps it up one notch here. So I don't know. He must have just been on a hot streak, I guess. Where and you hear about that with guys where it's just like Elton John in the 70s, or maybe Paul McCartney in the late 60s. It's just like everything they touch, it's just like turns to gold. It's just they can't write a bad song. Maybe Noel Gallagher, for the first part of Oasis there, just pumping them out one after the other. So that's what was going on for Jay at this time. And then they're an incredible live act too. If you get the CD version of this album, you can you get a live disc of not all CD versions, but if you get the right CD version, you get a live disc of them playing, I believe, at the Bottom Line in New York City, and they play most of this album and some great Uncle Tupelo tunes too. So there you have it. This reached 166 on the Billboard charts. Things were looking pretty good for the guys. It's just that it's hard to follow this up, and the follow-up was not received as well. The one that came after, same thing. And then when you're not really feeling that success, it's hard to keep fighting for the gold. So the band essentially breaks up at that point after 3 albums. Jay eventually, he does a solo album, but he eventually reconvenes Sun Volt with some different guys, and as I say, he's still going strong. Listen to Trace, guys. Listen to Trace. Tell me in the comments below if you've heard this album. Tell me how much you love it. What's your rating of it? And if you never have, go listen and then come back to the comments and tell me what you think. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. It's rare you find an album where there's no skippers, there's no clunkers. Everything is of an extremely high quality, and that's this album. 10 out of 10. They can't take this away from you, Jay. 30 years later, congratulations. You did it, my man. We love it. We still appreciate it. So there you go. Sun Volt's Trace. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. Please give us a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. And have an awesome day. Talk to you later.